Of course, one of the first things I have to do when I get a new Insta360 camera is see if it can fly. So I am hooking up the new Insta360 Go 3 on top of my Mavic 3 here. And one thing that I want to test out is the time-lapse feature. I want to see if I can do a time-lapse with the Insta360 Go 3 from a higher elevation. So let's put this up and see if it works. Right, that did work. I was worried about that sticky mount not staying on top of the drone, but it looks like it's sticky enough. So I was able to get a time lapse. I also did some other things with the Go 3 on top of my Mavic 3. So you're gonna have to wait a little bit into the video to see how those images looked. But yeah, this is just something fun I like to do with my Insta360 cameras. So, all right, let's talk about the Go 3. Hi everyone, Russ here. I hope you're having a great day. I'm coming to you currently from Flathead Lake, Montana, right by Glacier Park, one of the most beautiful places on earth. And we've been here for the past week on family vacation, and I've been using this camera right here. This is the brand new Insta360 Go 3 action camera. As you can see, it looks a little bit different than the previous versions, the Go and the Go 2. And not only in looks, but in performance and features and abilities. Like it's just such an improvement. So I'm going to tell you about my experience in using the Go 3 for the past week. And in particular, I want to tell you about the improvements that they made from the Go 2. One thing that Insta360 really does well is they take advice from their customers and they listen to what their customers want. And so that's what they've done with the Go 3. So let's take a few minutes to tell you about my experience with the Insta360 Go 3 action camera. Now, the first thing that we have to actually talk about with the Go 3 is this right here. This is the new Action Pod, and it's a charging case for the Go 3 camera, and it gives you up to 170 minutes of battery life, which extends your ability to capture your memorable moments, your family moments, and create unique things and do so much more. But it's not just about the battery life. The Action Pod also has this 2.2-inch flip-up touch screen, which makes it great for things like vlogging or framing your scene or changing all your settings. This screen right here can be used to adjust everything, all your camera settings, like every single thing can be done right here from the Action Pod. You don't have to open up the app on your phone and do it with that anymore. You can use this right here. And then this can also be used as a remote control and then also a live view monitor. So what you can do is you can just pop the Go 3 out of here. You can mount it anywhere. It's got the magnetic mounting on the back, so you can be pretty creative with where you mount it. But as long as you are within 5 meters with the Action Pod, you can control and monitor the Go 3. Now, I was actually able to control it from about 75 feet away, which is 5 times further than the advertised distance. Now, I did have that direct line of sight, but just know that you can probably go a little bit further than the 5 meters that they claim. Just make sure that you have nothing interfering with that Bluetooth signal. Now, the Action Pod is very simple to use. It just has 3 buttons. It has a power button on it. It's got a quick mode button, and then it has the shutter button. And it has this magnetic, like quick release mounting system on the bottom, which is used to mount it to this thing right here. This is the pivot stand, and this is very unique, and I love it. Just like that, clips right in there. This comes with a reusable sticky mount, but you can also remove the bottom from that and then attach the pivot stand to an invisible selfie stick and then have unlimited angle adjustments. That's how I've been using this for the past week. I just have it attached to the pivot stand and then I put my selfie stick on there, and just so many things that you can do with that. This is a great design and it's very well built. Now, I think a lot of people are going to love the Action Pod, not only because of its familiar action camera design, but this flip screen and the longer battery life and the ability to adjust everything right here are key. Now, of course, there are going to be people that don't like it because it kind of takes away from the minimalist design of the Go 3, but that's the thing. You have the option. you can just use the camera, you know, by itself. But if you want more battery life and if you want that screen for vlogging or whatever, you can just pop it into the action pod and you have that option. You have the ability to change up the way that you use the Go 3. Now the Go 3 also has some other accessories like the magnetic pendant, which allows you to have point of view recording everywhere you go. You just put it around your neck, put it underneath your shirt, and then you can mount the camera right to that. It's a very, very strong magnet. My son loves using that because he feels like he's the star of the show or the director of the production when he's wearing it. It can really give you some unique first-person view experiences. They also include this new angled mount, which gives you more flexibility on your shooting angle when you have the camera attached to that magnetic pendant. The clip mount is also included, and that's really great for putting on your baseball cap. There are additional mounting accessories on Insta360's website, which I'll have a link for in the video description. And then you can also use that link to purchase this impressive little camera if you're interested. Now I'm going to talk about pricing here in just a bit. When it comes to image quality on the Go cameras, I've always had the opinion that, you know, they've been good enough, but they've never really been great. You know, they've been fun to use and fun to be creative with, but I've usually defaulted to my iPhone when I'm trying to capture family memories. But the Go 3 now has the ability to capture 2.7K video at 30 frames per second, and that's very impressive. But if that weren't enough, Insta360 designed the Go 3 with improved heat dissipation, so there's no longer a limit on the length of a single video clip. That was my biggest complaint about the Go 2, well, other than image quality, but really my biggest complaint was that it got really hot, especially if you were filming on a hot day, and it would just cut out. It would just stop recording because it got too hot. But with the Go 3, it no longer gets hot. It gets a little warm, but it doesn't get hot to the touch anymore, and it's unlimited recording. So you can go through your entire memory and record one single video clip, and this camera will not shut off. So that's really nice. But let's take a look at some examples of the image quality that you can expect from the Go 3. So all of those clips are straight out of the camera, no editing applied at all except for a little bit of cropping. Now of course the Go 3 has flow state stabilization built in when you're recording in normal video mode, which removes all of the shaking and the bumping that occurs when recording video. And now it has 4 settings. There's no stabilization, which I don't know why you would ever use that. And then there's level 1, 2, and 3. So I had my little guy help me out with this test and he had a blast.
This is with no stabilization. This is level 1 stabilization. This is level 2. And this is level 3.
Now, of course, you're not going to notice the difference between stabilization modes if you're just walking. You know, if you're just doing, you know, just holding the camera steady, you're not going to see much of a difference because I tested that out. But you are going to notice it when you're moving around, and the algorithm really smooths out those shakes and those bumps. Now, one of the best things about the Go 3 is that you don't have to apply the stabilization after the fact. It's already built in. So you can already share your stable video clips right away without any extra steps. One thing that Insta360 has put a lot of research and time and effort into is developing their AI software. And so what they wanted to do is make it very easy for beginners, people who have no experience or no desire to learn how to edit, to be able to put together a project like with the push of a button. So I'm going to show you right now. It's called Auto Edit, and if you open up the app, the Insta360 app, go to Stories and click on Auto Edit, and then all you have to do is just choose your favorite clips. So let's just go ahead. Let me scroll down a little bit here, and it takes a while for it to load, but once you get all of them loaded, you just go ahead and choose a couple clips. I'm gonna choose that one, and we'll choose that, and this, and maybe we'll just go with that one there, and maybe one more. So we got 5 clips. We're gonna click on next, and then what it does is the software, the AI, will figure out how to put that all together into a complete video, and they'll put it to music and everything. And when you get to this point, you just choose how long you want the video to be. So I'm just gonna choose 15 seconds. And there it adds the transitions, it adds the music, it adds the clips together, just like that. So very, very cool. Without any effort at all, complete beginners are able to create a project that they can share on social media or share with their friends and family. And so I think they've done a really nice job with their AI software. Now the Go 3 has 3 field of view modes, including ultra wide, which captures the widest angle, and it's really great for things like vlogging. There's action view, which in my opinion is the perfect balance. And then there's linear mode, which is the most traditional view, and it's great for like everyday point of view situations. Now you can also record video in FreeFrame mode, which is very useful for action sports because it does have that 360 horizon lock. So it keeps the horizon level no matter how the camera is positioned or moved. Now FreeFrame mode also allows you to adjust the aspect ratio in post-production without losing any image quality at all. Now there are 2 disadvantages of FreeFrame mode. One is that it does require a little bit of editing after the fact. And then secondly, the resolution is only 1440 instead of 2.7K. But sometimes having that level horizon is priority. So it's there if you need it. So the video capabilities of this versatile little camera are pretty impressive. And the Go 3 is now a viable sidekick, not only for capturing family memories and everyday moments, but also for adding dynamic shots to productions, things like real estate or promotional videos or things like that. This camera, in my opinion, is really meant for everyday use and family vacations like this and other stuff like that, but it can now do so much more because of its improved resolution. So let's talk about audio a little bit. Insta360 once again improved the audio quality from the previous version, just like they did from the Go to the Go 2. Now the Go 2 to the Go 3 is so much better. I'm very excited about that because whenever I did use the Go 2, I always had to have a separate microphone, and then I had to sync my audio in post-production. I will not have to do that with the Go 3. It's not perfect, but it's definitely usable. It sounds so much better than the Go 2. There are 3 audio modes, including directional, wind reduction, and stereo. So here's some audio coming directly out of the Go 3, and this is set to direction focus. That's what I recommend having the audio set to. There's 3 options. But I'll play you a little video clip from my Go 2 review so you can compare the audio. So here is some footage checking out the audio on the Go and the Go 2. So right now you're listening to the Go 2 audio, and with one little tiny microphone, it's just amazing. Now here is the audio coming from the original Go. As you can hear, it's pretty much unusable, and so they've definitely stepped up their audio game with this upgraded version. So as you can see, they continue to improve the audio. Now, there's 2 other settings that you can use. So this is direction focus. And here I have it set to wind reduction, which is really useful for like riding your bicycle or running or motorcycle or whatever. It is a little bit windy today, so it does help reducing that wind noise, but it also kind of distorts the audio. So that's why I really like direction focus. And finally, here is the Go 3 set to stereo audio mode. So you can kind of hear the difference between this and direction focus and wind reduction. Now let's take a brief overview of the other shooting modes on the Insta360 Go 3. There's time-lapse mode, which allows you to set capture intervals, and then it combines all of the images into a sped-up video. There's time shift, which is a little bit like time-lapse, but it actually works better if you're moving with the camera. It speeds up the movement. It provides a really unique and fun look. The Go 3 records in slow motion, which records at full HD at 120 frames per second. Now, one little tip when you are shooting in slow motion, make sure that you do have the Go 3 positioned vertically for best results. It doesn't really work if you have it positioned horizontally for slow motion. The Go 3 does have loop recording, so it works really well as a dash cam. And that's actually what I use my Go 2 the most for now. But if you use the Go 3, you have 2.7K resolution, and that could come in very useful for a car accident. Now, of course, star lapse mode is also on the Go 3, which allows you to capture star trails at night. I haven't tried it with this camera yet, but I have with the 1R, and it's a pretty fun little mode. Now, getting into the photo modes, there's interval shooting where you can set it to take a photo from every 3 seconds up to every 2 minutes. There's HDR photo mode, and then there's regular photo mode, both of which can be captured in Pure Shot, which is Insta360's exclusive feature that gives you the best images possible. So here are a few examples showing the difference between HDR and normal modes. And as you can see, the photos you can capture with the Go 3 are crisp and beautiful with no editing at all. Now, I do want to show you the user interface on the Go 3 Action Pod because they've really made it easy to navigate and choose your settings. And I think that's key, especially for everyday people, you know, people that are gonna use this just for things like I use it for like just personal use. Now, most people that will be using this camera are not photo or video professionals, and they'll want that ease of use. But the other thing, there's so many things on this camera. So let's take a look at them. Now, on the main screen, you can see how much memory remains. You can see on the right-hand side how much battery life is left on the Go 3 as well as the Action Pod. On the bottom, you can see what mode you are in, and finally, what field of view the camera is set to. Swiping down from the top brings you to the settings screen. This right here is your orientation lock, which locks your screen position. This is the screen lock, which prevents you from changing anything on the screen if you accidentally touch it. This here is the volume control of the touching beep. Like it beeps when you touch the screen, you can set that volume control. This right here is the screen brightness setting. This is the quick capture setting, which when enabled, you can simply hit the shutter button while the camera is off and it will start recording. And then when you press the shutter button again, the camera will stop recording and turn off. That's very, very convenient. This right here is the stabilization level button. Here's the voice control, which allows you to control the Go 3 with your voice. This right here is the timed capture, which allows you to set the Go 3 to start doing something like recording a video or taking a photo at a certain time. And then you can also change all of the settings, which is really nice. Swiping left, you can enable pre-recording. So what happens is the camera will actually save a certain amount of footage before you even pushed the shutter button. So that's pretty nice. You might have missed something, you know, and you hit that shutter button too late. Well, you can actually set it to record the previous seconds before you hit that shutter button. Right here is your audio recording mode button, your grid lines, and then right here is your options. One setting that I do want to tell you to change immediately when you get your Go 3, go to this setting right here and change the video sharpness to medium. And then also, I guess, one other recommendation I have is set your audio setting to direction focused. For most situations, you're going to want that set to direction focus. You will thank me later for those two settings. Swiping up brings us back to the main screen, and when you swipe left to right, that brings up your album so you can view what you've captured. Swiping from right to left on the main screen brings up your camera settings. Now, I'm not going to cover those in this video, but for most people, that auto mode is going to be just great. And finally, swiping up from the bottom on the main screen brings up your resolution and your frame rate settings. I recommend just leaving these to 2.7K at 30 frames per second. And then you can change from horizontal to vertical orientation as needed. You can also get to the screen by tapping this icon right here. Now keep in mind that the lower left corner icon is going to change depending on what shooting mode that you're in. So that's the user interface. As you can see, there are so many things that you can do with the Go 3, and I think that's what makes this such a versatile little camera. As I mentioned, there is a link in the video description if you want to learn more about the Go 3, and you can use that link to purchase the camera and the accessories as well. There are currently 3 pricing options, and they vary depending on how much memory you want. I'll put all of the pricing up here on the screen for your review. I do have the 64 gigabyte one here, and it has been plenty for me. Like I said, I've been using it all week, and I have yet to delete any footage or photos. So I do think that 64 gigabyte is the best balance of price and storage. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments about the Go 3 or anything at all. Hit that like button, that thumbs up button if you got anything of value today. Subscribe if you want to see more product reviews like this one. I want to thank you for watching today. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time.